Well, hello, everyone. This is drhatfield, Preacher Man Piper, coming to you with another story. Back in 2010, probably around September, I guess it was, I started having a lot of trouble with a lot of pain in my rectum. Every time I'd go to the bathroom, it was just terrible. I just couldn't stand to go because I didn't want to have to live with I didn't want to have to live with that pain. Well, time went on, and around January of 2011, my wife, her mother had to have a hip replacement. She has 4 sisters and a brother, and all of them were taking turns and going and staying a couple of weeks with the mother, helping her out while she was in recovery. Well, there was complications with it, messed up one of her legs. It's messed up to this day. We were having a lot of trouble with some French doors. The rain was coming in around. It rained hard, and the rain would come in underneath the doors. And in March, about the 1st of March, my wife said, "I need to go to Indiana and be with Mom for a couple of weeks." I said, "Okay." I said, "While you're gone," I said, "I'll replace the threshold on these French doors, and whatever else has to be done to fix all that, I'll fix it while you're gone." Well, come find out, I had to replace a lot of flooring. And so I had to cut the carpet away, so I decided I was going to put linoleum down in its place. And so that's what I did. Well, really the job, I felt like, wasn't going to take but just 2 or 3 days to do. But as I began to do the work, I began to get really weak. And I was having such horrible pains all the time, day in and day out, with this rectum problem. And it got to where I would be working down in the floor, and it would get to be so bad that I would literally have to crawl out of the floor and crawl over and pull myself up in a chair. And what should have took 2 or 3 days took me every bit of the 2 weeks. In fact, I got it completely finished just about 4 hours before she got home. Well, when she got home, a day or 2 later, I went to the restroom, and I come back out, and I told her, I said, "Okay, you win. Let's go to the doctor." I said, "Go look in the toilet." Well, it was just full of blood. So she took me to the doctor, and I had one of them colonoscopy things. And when it got done, the doctor came out, and he looked at me, and he said, "Well, I'm just going to be straight up with you." I said, "That's what I want you to be." He said, "You've got the largest tumor that I have ever seen. And as far as I know, it probably beats any tumor that's ever been in an individual." And he said, "I've seen enough of these things over the years." He said, "I can tell you it's chock full of cancer. You need to get to a surgeon right away." So we went to the surgeon, and the surgeon looked over the x-rays and stuff, and he checked me out. And he looked at me and he said, well, preacher, he said, I'm just going to tell you the truth. I can't operate on you. If I operate on you, you wouldn't live through it. We need to get you on some radical chemo and radiation. And I'm at the end of all of that, I'm not sure that we can still do it. But we'll look at it then. So we went and saw a chemo doctor, and he put me on 2 chemos at one time and put it in a pump on my side, and so that it would be administering that chemo 24 hours a day. I would go every single day and go get a radiation treatment. Now, where the tumor was, in order to do the radiation, they had to shoot the radiation through my hips to get to the tumor. After all the tumor treatments was over, a couple of weeks after that, the surgeon called me and he said, well, he said, preacher, he said, we can try. I said, I cannot promise you anything, but said, I think maybe we can be able to do this operation. But said it'll be an unusual operation. He said, because we're going to have one surgeon working on you from the back and one surgeon, me, he said, working on you from the front. And he said, and because of that, he said, you're going to have to end up with a ostomy. And he said, and there's nothing we can do about that. He said, we can do this. Preacher, we're going to set that date up to the 7th of September. I said, okay. So on the 7th of September, I went in the hospital and I had the operation. And they operated on me from the back. They operated on me from the front at the same time. They got the tumor out. And after the surgery was over, and my first visit back to my surgeon, he knew my wife because my wife's a registered nurse and she's respected by everybody in East Tennessee. And he said, ma'am, I want you to look at this. Look at this blood work. Can you believe what it says? And she looked at it. She said, no, I can't believe it. He said, this thing says that he has never had cancer. But said that thing was full of cancer, and some of his lymph nodes around it were starting to get cancer as well. That was the reason for the radical deal, because if we didn't get them few that had the cancer, he said it would just go all through his body and that'd be it. But said this comes back showing he's never had cancer. He said that's a miracle. It wasn't but just a few weeks later, I ended up back in the hospital. And I ended up at death's door. My wife didn't know whether I was going to live or die. The Lord brought me through that. It wasn't but just a few weeks later, I was back in the hospital again. And a few weeks later, I was back in the hospital again. But every time, God brought me through it. Every time I was at death's door and God brought me back. I came home and I asked my wife, I said, well, how long will it be before I can get up and get around? She said, it won't be, but at the most 6 weeks. I said, okay. Well, it wasn't 6 weeks. It wasn't 3 months. It wasn't 4 months. It wasn't 5 months. it was about 8 months before I could even get up and do any walking. Well, it wasn't long after that till I was up and walking again, and everything just seemed perfectly fine. Everything seemed great. Then one day I was walking in the kitchen and I just collapsed. I don't mean I passed out. I mean, I just collapsed in the floor. I had to use a chair to get up. Well, we thought that was a fluke, and I kept on going, and it wasn't long until I got where I was weak and I couldn't hardly walk. So we got me a cane. I started walking with a cane. Then I started walking with 2 canes. Then I started walking with a walker. Then it wasn't long after that till we had to go to the doctor, and the doctor said, well, we need to get you a power chair. So they got me one. Well, it was a piece of junk, but anyway, they got me one. And so I was in that power chair up until, well, I wasn't in that power chair long, because every time we'd try to come up the ramp with that thing, it would quit on us. And so we were looking in Craigslist. That's it. Yeah, we were looking in Craigslist, and in Craigslist we found a hover ramp for $400. Looked like it was brand new. So we crawled in the car and went up there to that place where that chair was at, and it was brand new. I mean, it hadn't hardly ever been used at all. You couldn't tell it had been used, period. So we bought that, and that was my power chair up until I was in 5 years had passed. Well, every 5 years, Medicare gets you a new chair. So I went to see my doctor, and they set it up, and I went and saw the people to see about getting a new power chair. Well, this guy come in from Quantum, that's the name of this chair, and he said, we're going to set you up with a real nice chair. I said, okay. And so I said, will it recline back so that I could, like in my recliner, lay back and take a nap or something? He said, oh, no. He said, you have to be paraplegic to do that. And the lady that was taking this order, she said, well, the doctor has him down as a paraplegic. He said, well, yeah, we can get you like one with a recline, so you can recline back and take care of that. He said, oh yeah. He said, I promise you, you'll have the best chair that's on the market today. He said, it's brand new. It just came out. And said, I said, well, I can only be in this hover around a couple of hours. Then I got to transfer out of it into my recliner. He said, you'll never do that again. He said, this chair will be more comfortable than any recliner you ever seen in your life. I said, well, if you say so. He said, well, you'll say so too. Well, once I got in the chair, I said so, because I'm telling you, this is the most comfortable thing I've ever been in my life. So that's my story of how I ended up in a this is not a power chair. This is what's called a power wheelchair. And that's altogether different than just a power chair. So anyway, that's how I ended up in the chair. That's how I'll be in the chair the rest of my life. And a lot of people say, well, didn't you get angry at God? No, I didn't get angry at God. God knows everything. God knew before the foundation of the world that one day I'd have to be in this chair. God knew that I'd have to give up on preaching and give up on teaching because of this chair. See, I didn't know it, but the churches that I was in, they didn't know what to do with somebody like me that was in a power chair. So they didn't think I could come and preach revivals anymore. So I've never been asked. Not once. Not once in 9 years. This is 9 years this year. September the 11th this year. Or 7th this year. I will have been forced into retirement from the ministry. But God has been good to me. God has helped me in so many ways. And I've never been bitter over it. I've never been upset over it. Nothing. I've had to get used to a lot of things I'm not used to. But hey, it is what it is. Oh, by the way, I wanted to show you this little pipe. This little pipe, if you'd like to know the name of it, I'll give it to you. It's the Ladon Mott. He made this pipe and sent this to me. And I just love it. It's got a big bow. Got a big bow. But it's a short one. And I like short pipes. So I wanted to tell you that. And if you want to know what I'm smoking in here, smoking Carter Hall. One of my favorite tobaccos, Carter Hall. I love Carter Hall. Can't get enough Carter Hall. But anyway, that's my story. I hope everybody's doing okay. May the good Lord watch over you and protect you, and may He supply your every need and take care of every circumstance in your life. So until we meet again, bye-bye.